Hi guys, my name is Phil and welcome to PhilDoes3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream on Twitch weekdays from 5 PM Pacific Standard Time in the US, 12 PM in Australia and 1 AM in the UK. Okay, let's pull up 3D Studio Max and load up our file from yesterday. We were just doing, at the end of the stream, we'd finished creating the ivy for the garden terrace model, and then I was doing some housekeeping, and I finished that off stream because Max crashed at the end of the stream. Luckily it was right at the end of the stream. So I worked on that after the stream and finished off just renaming some of the, to make sure all of the bits and pieces of the model were named correctly, so that's all done. So what I'm going to do today probably is save out a version of the file as it is at the moment, which are all the pieces unattached, all separate pieces, which will be my original file. I'm going to save that out. I'm going to use Max's archive function to collect all of the textures from the different folders that I have scattered on my hard drive for that model and put them all into one folder with the file. It's just a good automated way to collect all of the different textures and put them all into one folder. Well, once we've done that, it should only take Max 5 minutes or so to do that. Then we'll attach all the different pieces of the model together, which will be the one that we export to bring into Eon View to do the environment render. It does take Max a while to load the file up, but again, it's a problem since Windows Update. It seems to be taking a lot longer than it usually does. Because for loading and saving up. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll save a separate version out, export a separate version out, I should say, that's all attached, probably as an OBJ, which I'll bring into Eon View later to do the environment render on. Prior to doing that though, I do want to create some normal maps for some of the pieces of the geometry in NALD, KNALD. So we will probably do that today. We should be able to get around to enough time to do that. The rendering in View will be next week. Depending on how much we get done today, it should be no problem to start rendering in View next week. And trust me, Max hasn't crashed, it just takes a long time to load. So yeah, that's what we'll be working on today. I like to use NALD to do the normal maps from diffuse map textures because it's fast. I can get a good feedback through the 3D viewport in NALD as to what the texture map is going to look like, what the normal map is going to look like. I have used bitmap to material, which is Substance's version of the same type of thing, same Substance's program, which does the same sort of thing as NALD. I just found though that it's a little bit slower to use when you're changing your settings, but NALD is pretty quick. So both programs are great. I mean, you can use either one, and I use both, but generally I favour NALD a bit more. Come on, Max. I know it's loading the program up, the file up, because I can monitor my memory usage on my tablet here and I can see it's using its memory, so it's getting there. It's because our file 2 is finished now, so we have all of our texture maps and all of our geometry and those ivy plants as well, so it has a lot to deal with when it's loading it in. Plus, as I said, the changes that Microsoft made with Windows with the latest cumulative update. There was one released yesterday for Windows 10. remember guys, if you have any questions for me or anything that I'm doing that you're not sure about, feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If I can help, I will. I don't know everything, but if I'm able to answer any questions you've got, I'm willing to try. If you just want to pop into chat and say hello, that's always great. If you just want to watch, then that's completely fine as well. And again, you have to remember too that while my max program here is running, I'm also running OBS, so that's slowing down the rest of my system a little bit. Not a lot. OBS is great software, but it's just something else that my CPU has to deal with. Come on, Max. That could have been the reason too that while I was doing my attaches yesterday, the program crashed. It was just a bit too much for it to cope with. Give it a little bit longer. It is gradually increasing memory, so I know it's loading it in. Hey Galen, how's things? Just waiting for Max to finish loading in my file here, it's taking it a while. Good to see you. There we go. It took it quite a while, but it did get there in the end. This is the garden terrace we've been working on. Like I was saying, I finished doing the housekeeping and renaming all of our bits of geometry here, so everything is named correctly. We know what everything is. There's no box or cylinder names or anything like that. And I've saved this version out as our final version. I'm going to use this if I ever need to come back to the file. What are you showing me here, Galen? Let me have a look. Is this the the racer? Yep. Oh, very nice. That's looking really cool. Really nice. I like this black and silver through here. That looks really good. And down here. Oh, and the black at the bottom here. That looks really good as well. Against the red, the burgundy red. No. Let's have a look at this other link. This is the back, okay. All the rivets, they're very nice, really nice work. Looks great, it's really good. I love seeing these models textured up once you guys have done them, because it really brings it to life, makes it real. Like I said, it's great to see the occlusion renders and stuff, but it doesn't come out in that render, but some of the black is a carbon fiber. Okay, cool. Nice. Like I said, I do really like that black fin against the red burgundy colour here. It looks great, and the black carbon and carbon fiber looks really good. And these rivets, like I said, or screws or whatever you want to call them, look really good as well. I really like that section through here. So cool. Let's go back to the front here. What's this texture here? This brown coloured texture. Is that copper sort of thing that you're going for, but I'm just not sure of what that is. I can see through here, it looks like a metallic coppery colour maybe. All through here it looks excellent. Really nice. And like I said, I really like the silver here against the black. Oh, this bit here on the end, yep, really nice. Nice work. The bronzish colour, yeah, okay. It looks great. Everything looks really good. Just this bronze colour here is throwing me off a bit. I don't know why. Maybe you've got reflection or gloss happening on this, have you? Or just, it looks a bit matte, you know what I mean? Like the rest of it, you're picking up some nice highlights. And maybe it's just not meant to be a shiny sort of material, but yeah, just that throwing me a little. Maybe it's just the angle or the shadowing. Okay. But it looks really good. Pardon me, really good. Yeah, just that bronzy colour here is just throwing me off. But I love what you've done. It looks great. It's really nice. Good work. Are you going to what are you using this for? Are you just putting it in your portfolio? Are you doing anything else with it? It looks great. Really nice stuff. Are you going to do anything with it, or are you just creating it for your portfolio, to do renders for your portfolio? Because it looks absolutely great. And it was a good break for you from the Nostromo. Are you going to get back to doing that? Yeah. The bronze at the back is just throwing me a little bit as well. And it could just be because it looks a bit too matte, if you know what I mean, for a metal. It needs a bit more of a shine to it. You're just doing it to do it? Okay, fine. It's a nice piece of work. Definitely put it in your portfolio. It's really nice. I really like it. It's great. Yeah, just that texture. And it could just be something as simple as because it's looking just maybe a bit too matte, make it a little bit more glossy perhaps. If you want to stick to that bronze colour. It does look really good though. No. So are you going to choose something else to do now, or are you going to go back to the Nostromo? But definitely put that in your portfolio. You know, I really like it. Just picks up that bronze material a little bit. Everything else is just great. Looks really good. Let me see here. I think what I'm going to do is just checking to make sure I'm not dropping the frame. It looks okay. Now that I've created this final version of this model, the bronze shader has an anisotropic component to it that doesn't show at the back. Okay. When the pod racer is all done, you'll head back to the Nostromo. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I'd like to see the Nostromo done too. I know it's a lot bigger an object and probably a lot more work, but people are really cool done. And from what you blocked out, it looked really good so far. And like I said, it's always nice to take a break from a model that you've been working on for a while. If you find you're getting a bit tired of doing it, go away and do something else, even if it's creating another model, doing some artwork or something, and come back to it at a later date. I can be like that sometimes with my modelling as well. I don't always want to, I can get sick of working on the same model sometimes. Although I have the other problem as well where I never want to stop working on a model sometimes. It's never finished type thing. Anyway, I do understand. And yeah, I look forward to seeing the Nostromo. Are you streaming tonight, Galen? you needed to work on something that had some noticeable changes from day to day, yeah, like I said, I understand that. If you tend to do a lot of the same type of work, it can be a nice change sometimes to work on something different. And I found too, if you tend to get stuck on a problem with a piece of work, if you leave it for a little while and then come back to it at a later date, generally you can work out how to fix the problem. Spending some time away from what you were doing, it always helps. Same thing if you're working up late, like often I'll work till late in the night. I try not to, because it's not good for your health, but I find if you go to bed and sleep on it, then the next morning you can generally work out what the problem was. So a break is always good. That's what I'm trying to get at. But I do look forward to seeing the streamer once you get back to working on it. And like I said, are you streaming this evening? When are you next streaming, Galen? Let's see here. So we have our final version. Everything, all of our housekeeping has been done. All the textures have been done. The ivy has been done. The only thing I did do off screen with the ivy was run a Pro Optimizer filter over it. You can't see it here because I haven't selected, but it's called Pro Optimizer in Mac. I just put that on the ivy to reduce the polygon counts a bit, to make the model a little bit lighter to work with. You don't know kind of fighting a migraine at the moment? Okay, no worry. I'll keep an eye out for you for when you're next streaming. Migraine is always horrible. And again, sometimes staring at a computer screen for too long, that can happen. I find I get really dry eyes too, after a while. Which makes them red and sore and hard to concentrate on what you're doing. And again, it's another problem just I think with staring at computer monitors all day long. So yeah, I just did some, I throw a Pro Optimizer modifier on the meshes here just to reduce the polygon counts a little bit, make the model a little bit lighter. Because as I was saying, when I was growing the ivy yesterday and on Monday, they can get pretty high poly, so you probably will want to optimize them after you've created them. Particularly if you're working with a large model like this, which has a lot of large textures, so you're using up quite a bit of memory. For instance, this model here, I can tell you, even though I have OBS and a couple of other programs running in the background, but my system is using about 14 gigabytes of memory at the moment. My video card is using nearly 6 gigs, so just something to be aware of. If you start running out of memory and your 3D software hits your hard drive, it's going to slow down your workflow quite a bit. And that's the other reason, like I said, I optimized these flowering ivy plants because I didn't want to unnecessarily use more computer memory. So let's, now that we have our final unattached version, by unattached I mean all of these pieces are still all separate, they're not attached together yet. This is my original file that I want to come back to if I ever want to make any changes on it. But because I have my textures spread throughout my hard drive in 2 or 3 different places, because we were exporting to Mari and saving into a separate folder called Stairs at the time, I want Max to grab all of my textures and put them into a new folder and change all of my material assignments here in my material editor to reflect the new location of my textures are. And you can get Max to do that. What are you doing to me, Max? Okay. You can get, yeah, all of my textures are all over my hard drive here, so I want Max to grab all of my textures, put them into one folder. I don't want to do that by hand, I want Max to do it for me. And Max has a really useful feature in its utilities tab here called Resource Collector. Now you browse to the place that you want Max to put all of your new textures for the model you're working on. So I'm going to go into my models portfolio, Garden Terrace, version 2016, because remember we had to change, changed out from 2017 to 2016. Sorry, not that, to finals. That's the folder I want. I want Max to put everything here in my finals folder, so I'm going to use that path. I'm not sure if other 3D software has a similar function or not. I just found that this is really useful in 3D Studio Max. I wanted to collect bitmaps and photometric files. I wanted to include, I wanted to include Max, this Max file, final version here. I want to copy the textures over, and I want to update the materials. And that'll change the material assignments automatically for you. You won't have to do them yourself. I'm just hesitant about using the include file because I know that this file is about 1.5 gigabytes in size. I'm just not sure whether I should do it manually or get Max to do it. Let's not get Max to save the file at this stage. Let me do it manually. But I do want it to move all the textures over, so I'm going to tell Max to begin. And now we just wait for Max to go through all of the textures in our material editor and copy them over to the new folder. You tell me you finished already, I don't believe you. You haven't done it yet, mate. I don't think. Oh, it has. It's already finished it, so it was a lot quicker than I thought. But that's probably because I didn't tell it to move the file, to save the file as well. I'm just going to jump into my material editor here again and have a look at what it's done here. And it has, it's reassigned all these textures to the new location that I told it to move them to. Finals, you'll see it slowing down. That's just because Max is loading all these textures in now as it's working through. Just going to check one more to make sure. Yes, everything is fine. Okay, so now we have our textures all moved into the one folder. We didn't have to search through our hard drive and do it all by hand, which believe me, is a lifesaver. You don't want to have to do that, particularly if you're working on a model that has maybe 40, 50 different textures for it. I'm going to save this file again now to our new location. So I'm going to go save as. We're going to jump into our Garden Terrace folder, our finals version. And I'm going to leave the name the same, Garden Terrace Final. So this is our unattached final version with all of those texture locations changed in the material editor for us automatically by Mac. Again, I know that this file will take a little while to save because it's 1.5 gigabytes, I think, in size when it saves out. So I'll just give Max a little while to do that. Once it's saved it out, then I'm going to start attaching all of these pieces together, which will be the version then that I export and bring into Eon View. Probably before I attach them together though, because I do want to create some normal maps in NALD, KNALD is the program's name. I'm going to start exporting different pieces of the geometry that I want normal maps for. And I'm doing that so that I can import those pieces of geometry into NALD to create the normal maps while looking at the actual mesh itself. It's an easier, you don't have to. You can work with like a cylinder or a cube or a plane to work out your normal map, but if you can work with the actual piece of geometry itself, then it's always better. It's just easier to see what's going on. So that's probably what I'm going to do. But yeah, for any of you guys that do use Macs, keep an eye. That resource collector here is really useful. There's quite a few useful bits and pieces here in the utilities tab. A lot of people don't pay attention to this tab here on the end, but I should go through it because there are a few useful things in here. You won't have Polygon Cruncher, that's a separate plugin I have for Macs, but I don't generally use it. I use the Pro Optimizer, which comes with Macs. It does the same thing, it just reduces geometry on an object. What else is useful in there? UVW remove, that can be really useful if you're having problems with the UV maps. Channel info, you've seen me use that quite a bit to copy UVs between different map channels. What else do we have? Collapse, of course, which will collapse your whole mesh for you, but I don't suggest you use it because it can create problems in Crash Max. Asset browser, that's a separate browser that Max has that... Hey Leetness, how are you? Good to see you. I was just explaining that I finished doing the housekeeping last night after Max crashed on me at the end of the stream. I did it all off stream, so I was just renaming all of my files here. So we have our final version, unattached version here that I'm saving out before we start creating some normal maps. And I was just going through the resource collector in Max's utilities tab here to collect all of my different texture maps from all my different folders and put them into one folder for me. So yeah, do look through utilities tab if you're a Max user because there are quite a few useful bits and pieces in here. Reset X form is really useful. Oh, you've been there. Okay, my apologies, Lika, sorry. Oh well, I'm just reinforcing the point anyway. So yeah, if you're a Max user, do look through the utilities tab. It's very useful. That's cool. You're a little busy. That's fine. I'm sure there are people that watch too that don't pop into chat, so which is fine. I don't mind people that just want to watch. That's cool. And like I said, it's going to take Max a little while to save this file out because it's so large. And since the Windows update, it seems to have slowed everything down. Every time Microsoft release one of those cumulative updates, I sort of, I fear for what's going to happen. It's gotten to the stage now where you just never know how your machine is going to behave after one of those updates, which is a shame because it never used to be that bad. You don't want your operating system to be completely trashed because Microsoft decided to push out an update that wasn't ready for prime time, which they seem to be doing a lot. I don't know if you guys have had the same problem, but on some of my machines when I do these updates, it seems to hang at like 50 or 60% download and stay there for like an hour or two before it continues. These cumulative updates that Microsoft push out. So yeah, it's always a worry. You like to chat, but your art ain't getting done while you type, Leadness. That's completely true. I understand. That's fine. I like to chat to you guys too, but look, I know a lot of people like to have a stream on in the background while they're doing other stuff, and that's, you know, that's cool. I understand. You're here. That's the important. You've got an update queue, but you haven't updated it yet, Lateness, yeah. And you know, the feeling, I'm always afraid to do these updates now, like I said. I never really know what's going to happen with Microsoft updates anymore. You never really know how badly it's going to affect your machine. And like I said, I've noticed, pardon me, since I started doing these updates, it's something that Microsoft have done is made Max saving and loading really slow. Thankfully we don't have to do too many more saves now that the model's done. We've got to do one more once I attach everything, but that'll be it then. Then we can move on to other programs. I know you guys were saying, a couple of you are interested in Unreal, the Unreal Engine. I know that wasn't it you, Leapness, that said this model would look good in Unreal? I've been thinking about bringing it into Unreal. I'd have to do a bit of polygon work on it, reduction work on it. So that's something I'm thinking about doing for a future stream, is maybe importing this and setting it up in Unreal. You had to roll back a major update some time ago that rendered your Wi-Fi adapter useless. Yeah, I've read about that. I actually use, I don't use Wi-Fi. I unplug directly in via Ethernet to my cable modem. But I know a few people online have had that problem with their Wi-Fi being, I don't know, switched off or not working in Windows 10. You've coded a lot in Unreal? Okay. You're talking about the blueprint editor, or are you talking about doing C# coding, programming? I haven't actually done any C# programming or C programming. I generally use the blueprint editor if I need to do any sort of coding or interactive work in Unreal. A lot of my work though in the editor now is generally just creating models and maybe making environments, though I don't do a lot of blueprint work in Unreal. And again, trust me, it will get there eventually. It just takes a long time to save out now. Anyway, it gives you guys a good chance to have a look at what the finished model here is looking like while it saves. You like blueprints over CPP? Yeah, no, blueprints were a great addition to Unreal, to the Unreal Engine by Epic Games. Made everyone's life a lot easier. They've got a lot of good editors in Unreal, like the particle editor, their movie animation editor, I'm not sure what they call it. They used to call it Movie Maker or something, I think. But cinematic thing, that's very good as well, for setting up your cameras. And like I said, the particle editor is very good. Blueprints is great. The whole editor itself is really nicely done. Took you about 2.5 months of full-time work. You've coded a fully functional network survival game for practice. Okay. 2.5 months of full-time work, yep. Well, it's good practice, and it's an engine that's used in a lot of game studios, so if you want to get into games development, it's time well spent learning it all. You know, I know there are a few different engines that are used in games development. You've got, you know, your Frostbite and CryEngine and all of those, but Unreal is used a lot. Some studios will create their own engine. I don't know why some of them choose to do that, but they do. There used to be Gamebryo, which is a horrible thing to work with. I think they actually don't make that anymore, thank God. Hey Sniper Echo, how are you? Good to see you. Always good to see you in chat, Sniper Echo. So you got rid of your procrastination, your eliteness? Yeah, cool. We're just waiting for this file to finish saving out. Sniper Echo, I finished all my housekeeping yesterday after Max crashed. I don't know if you've been here since the start of chat, but now I'm just saving out this final version, which is all unattached. We use the resource collector in the utilities tab to collect all of our materials and maps and put them into one folder. Once it's saved out, I'm going to start exporting different pieces of geometry that I want to create normal maps for. And then I'm going to create some normal maps from null. You figured that doing art is better than coding, Leetness? Yeah, I came to the same conclusion. When I did my university training, it was partially programming and partially design, and I much more enjoyed the design part of it. I'm glad I did the programming, and it's good that you know programming and you can do it because it makes you more employable. But the art side of things is much more enjoyable, that's for sure. And like I said, I know Max hasn't crashed, it just takes it forever to save the file out. Much longer than it should. But thankfully we're at the end of creating the model now, so we don't have to deal with this too much more. I almost wish I could go back to Windows 7. I mean, I like Windows 10. The operating system itself is great, but just these updates and what it's doing in the background. Never had these problems with Windows 7. And like I said, I know it's going to take a long time because when I was doing my housekeeping yesterday off stream and saved the file, I know it took a long time. You think you could work at an indie game studio as a coder if you did some stuff for Unreal Marketplace's portfolio? Yeah. Leighton says, I think I could work at indie game studio as a coder if I did some stuff for Unreal Marketplace's portfolio. That's not your thing? Okay, yeah, well, that's fair enough. You'll know, you know, I sell my models online and I do create game models for a game studio here where I live, but I don't sell my work on Unreal Marketplace. I could, I guess, I could convert some of the, I actually have some Unreal models, some of my stuff converted into Unreal, but I still don't want to use their marketplace. I'm happy to sell on Creative Market. It finished saving, thankfully. I'm happy to sell on the Creative Market and Cinetech Media and Cornucopia 3D. That's enough work for me. I don't want to sell on Unreal. That and the fact that they have a really weird system of votes if you want to sell on their store. I think the community vote on which models they want put into the store, and I find that whole thing just ridiculous. If you're opening up a retail store where you expect artists to sell their work, create work and put it on your store and sell it, and remember that Unreal are getting a cut of every sale, they shouldn't make it such a chore to actually have your work put online. So Epic Games, if you're watching, you want to change that system. It's really bad. No decent artist is going to put up with that crap. Sorry, they're not. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. So now that we've saved our file out, our final version out, all unattached as I was saying, now we have to go through and decide which bits we want to create normal maps for. Now I know I want a normal map for these lower stairs here, so, and I'm going to bring these pieces of geometry into Gnarled so I can look at what the normal map is actually going to look like on the actual mesh. So now it's just a question of going through and exporting the pieces of geometry I want to create normal maps for. So I'm going to jump into I created a separate folder on my hard drive here for working with Null for the pieces of geometry, so I'm just going to navigate to that. Yeah, I found that too, Leighton. They do have pretty low quality stuff on the Unreal Marketplace, but it's their own fault, unfortunately, because they make all of the hoops that they try and make our brokers jump through to sell their work. So, you know, if they really wanted good quality work for sale on their website through their marketplace for their program, then they really have to change some of their policies so that it's easier for artists to put their work online for them to sell. Particularly because there's plenty of other places online where artists can sell their work. They don't have to go to the Unreal Marketplace. So Nulled Models is the folder I'm going to use to save these pieces out. I'm going to save them out as OBJs. Again, you can save them as FBX. Nulled accepts FBX, but I like OBJ. Yeah, I certainly will show you. Just let me save this file out. I'm going to call this one Lower Stairs. saving it as an OBJ. This is what we've been working on, except those defaults should be fine. It's a garden terrace model. Let me just pull in a bit here so you can get a bit closer to look at it. Yeah, a garden terrace model with a couple of angel statues here. It has a wrought iron dome roof. I'll just swing around the model for you. Zigast. Yeah, Zigast. I'm not going to try and pronounce the rest of it. MSEC. Sorry guys, like the other guys will tell you, I'm terrible with usernames, so I'll call you Zigast. Thanks Zigast, I'm glad you like it. So yeah, it's just basically a garden terrace here. What's the texture resolution? It varies depending on the piece of geometry. The outer walls here, the sandstone is a 4K texture. The columns here are, I think they're a 2K texture. The banisters are a 2K texture. These I think are a 1K from memory. It was done a while ago. The main tiles up here are 4K. The angel statue textures are 4K. I think the globes here in the background are 1K from memory, 1024. 1024. Like I said, the angel statues are 4K, so 4096 by 4096. And yesterday we were working on creating some flowering ivy for it. I can show you how many textures I have in the scene. Zigast. Let me... No, it's not the one we want. Let me just open up my folder because I just used the resource collector in 3D Studio Max to move all of our textures into one folder. Garden Terrace. Final. So we have there are 83 textures being used. Actually, make 82 because that's a max file. Yeah, around about 80 or so textures by the look of it. A lot of drives, yeah. Well, you know, I like to split everything up a bit. So around about 80 textures for this model. This model won't be going into a game environment. It's going to go into Eon View. I'm going to draw a 3D environment render in Eon View of it. I'm using a GTX 1080 video card, Zigast. So yeah, GTX 1080. Running on an Intel i7K processor, 2600K.